little video recordings on my phone, splice them in, wedge them in when I'm done in North Carolina, but don't hold me to it, because you actually will know, because if I don't do it, you won't know, because I'll cut this part, and then it's going to be fun. So it's like my secret. We'll find out. I'll find out. You won't find out. Well, you'll find out. Yeah. Hello, and welcome to episode 7 of Losing My Knit. I'm Jeff. I'm mostly a knitter, sometimes a little bit of crocheting. I will sew a bag one day. I am based in Boston with my husband Tim and our Bernedoodle Barnaby. He's getting his hair cut, so no cameos today. Welcome to the free-for-all that is my fiber life. You can find me on Instagram at Losing My Knit. There'll be a QR code somewhere on the screen. Scoot this way so I can do 2 and 2. And on Ravelry and Blue Sky at Losing My Knit with no periods. Welcome back to those of you who are returning, and welcome to those of you who are new or have stumbled across my channel. It's going to be fun. Interesting. I am filming this a week earlier than usual. It is Friday the 27th of June. Generally I would film this next Wednesday, which so that I can drop on the first Saturday of the month. But my sister is getting married next Thursday, so we'll be traveling. I'm going to record most of this now. There might be a couple of clips that I edit in. But we'll see if that works. There's a couple, just to show if I make any major progress as we're flying down, or if I buy anything fun. I'll go down, I'll visit, I think there's 2 yarn stores I want to try and visit while we're down there. We'll be down there for a full week. But I'm taking my editing computer, so hopefully it'll be, I can get it done. The other thing I was going to ask, so I had an idea, but I wasn't sure. So based on the demographics of the channel, I am super shiny. There's a window right here, and I can't make it any darker because if it would be too dark. Anyway, I'm going to put this clip in. I'm going to put this clip in right here. Let me know if you know what it's from. Because I wasn't sure what the demographics, so most people who watch this are 35 and above, and I think the 35 to 50 people, you're 100% going to know what it is. But I wasn't sure about people over 50. You may have seen it with your kids or something like that. Because I was thinking it would be a hilarious part of the intro to say, get in, losers, we're going to talk about fiber or yarn or knitting, just because losing my knit, so I thought it would be hilarious. The other fun thing about that clip in particular is we were there's a park in Boston, and I don't think it's a national park, but it's called Castle Island. It was an island. Spit was built out to it at some point. There's a beautiful walkway. It's called the Sugar Bowl. You can walk around it. People kite surf in it. And we were there with a friend. And one time we were driving, and I think he went to the bathroom or something, so we were going to go drive around and pick him up. And we were driving, and I rolled down the windows, and I yelled very loudly, "Get in, loose person that rhymes with butt. We're going shopping," because I misremembered the line. He looked at me like I'd lost my mind, but this woman who was putting her children in her car cackled, and 1, I felt horrible because I yelled that word and her kids were there, but 2, I also cackled because she thought it was hilarious. Anyway, so yeah, so let me know if you know what that film is, because I do kind of feel like it would be a hilarious end to my intro to say, get in, losers, we're going to talk about knitting, and then transition. I am not wearing any knits. You can just see this green scarf right here. I was going to put that one on. That's actually made from, I want to say cotton, so it's very lightweight, it's very airy. I was going to put it on, but it's a little bit muggy today, but we had a heat wave this week. We had 4 days over 90. Tuesday we hit 104, almost hit the actual high for all of June period, which is 107. We did break the record in Boston, so it was miserable. Barnaby and I went like out and in, out and in. Thankfully we have AC. But yeah, so I'm not gonna wear it. So I do have a from the archive section later in the show, so you can see what I was knitting. I think if I sit back here, which is good because then I won't bump the table. But I don't know if the mic is picking me up, so I'll have to play with that. There's a lot. This is a long intro. It's a long intro. I wanted to start with a shout out for the, I'm going to call it the wrong thing. I think it was the 2025 Pride Make-Along, MAL. I think it was founded by Peggy from Spinning on Two Wheels. Gary from Gary Knits, Gary Rides joined her, I think, 2 years ago. And then this year, Stephanus from Be Extra Knitting and Martin from Knit 365 were a big part of it. And I was able to join their live Zoom live last weekend. It was a lot of fun. I could only stay for about 45 minutes because we had already made plans, but I just wanted to shout out that was fun. You can go watch the conversation that we had, and then the conversation after I left that was also really interesting over on Martin's channel. I'll link it below. So I just wanted to shout that out. I thought it was really cool. And then the other big thing, so I don't have a lot to show. I've got progress on quite a bit, just because I knit so quickly, and the one that I have the most progress on I can't show you, but I'll talk about that in a minute. But what the big thing that I did this past couple of weeks was I did not physically clean. It is still a massive mess over there. I did some organization. I got a hanger for the door. Some sweater quantities are there, but I did a digital cleanup. So I went into my Ravelry. I cleaned up my favorites. I looked at all my patterns. I looked at my library, and I just did a revamp. I got rid of a whole bunch of things that I favorited that I just was like, I'm never going to make this, right? I favorited, but then they're not size inclusive, and I need it to be size inclusive. And so I did that. I also reorganized my favorites, creating two bundles. I don't know if they're called bundles, but own/made. So those that the patterns that I've purchased and I've made, and then the patterns that I've purchased that I've not made, so that like now when I have yarn, or if I'm at a yarn store, I can look and it's easy to search. And then the other big thing that I did, and this was horrifying, you guys, horrifying. I went through my stash tracker. I was going through my stash tracker. There's some yarns in there I knew I was never going to knit with. And the new yarn store has what they're calling a little free Fibrary. Not like February of the month, but like Fibrary. So I wanted to go through, get some of the skeins that I knew I would never use, and donate them so that she could give them to people who haven't done them. She said there's a lot of kids, teenagers that are like really interested, but they just, they're broke. They don't have money. I was like, I've got extra yarn. I'll do it. So I went through my stash tracker, and what I did was I populated my queue on Ravelry. I've never used it. I do think ahead like 3 or 4, but I just do it in my spreadsheet that I keep. But I populated my queue based on yarn that I already own, that I bought specifically for projects. I was thinking I had like 12, maybe 15. I have 28. I have yarn for 28 projects. I average maybe 5 to 7 projects a year. That's a lot of yarn. I think I will be working through that. I put it in order based on how old the yarn was. The oldest is actually only from 2000. There's one from 2000 and a couple from 2001, which I talked about one of those early podcasts, maybe during Vlogmas. But yeah, 28 projects. So you're going to start seeing those soon. A couple, I think there were quite a few hats. So there are quite a few that are small. Quite a few shawls. Some of Stephen West's older shawls, which I do want to make. Some are vacation, where I bought a yarn from each of our stops, and I'm going to make a shawl out of them. And then I have 1, 2, 3, we'll say 5 sweater quantities. So yeah, one is not a sweater. I think I'm going to consider more of a sweatshirt. One is a sweater for Tim. And then one Aran weight, one bulky weight, and one, I think, sport weight for me. So So yeah, I'm going to be working on those. And that doesn't include the yarn that I've already taken out to work on existing sweaters. So that 28 doesn't include the 3 projects that are currently on needles, because it just doesn't. So I will, yeah, I gotta do that. So I did that. It felt good to have that organized. Most of that was already in either Ziploc bags or the bag I purchased it in with the label, so I knew what I was making it for. So now maybe I'll do like a roll the dice or a random number generator to pick a project and work from there, because I clearly have a backlog I need to get through. I want to get through. I don't need to get through. I want to get through it. I bought the yarn, and seeing some of the yarn again, I was like, I love this yarn. What am I doing? Why did I not start this? And it was like, oh, I bought Barocco Wizard Bulky in the middle of the summer. Of course I wasn't going to knit with it. That's a different story. I've taken that. I tried 2 different sweaters, didn't like either of them, took it apart. I think I found one I'm going to do. You'll hear about that later this winter. Anyway, so that's what I've been up to the last 2 weeks. The other thing, and I'm going to put this section, I don't do it all the time, but I wanted to do it because I'm taking inspiration from one of them. What I've been watching, podcasts, I've got 3 I want to highlight specifically because they've just been making me very happy. The first one is Knits by Bex. She is Scottish, London-based, but I want to say she's from, I'm going to say Glasgow, but she's probably from Edinburgh, because you never know which one. I never can remember which one. She's got this super dry humor. I love it. I think she's got more episodes than I do now. She started a little after me. But it's hilarious, and I just feel like we would get on really well. We're like both weirdos. Please don't be offended, Bex, because I called you a weirdo. But I will just say, if a podcast ever pops up, knitting podcast, and it's sock puppets talking trash about stuff, it's Bex and I have finally decided to collaborate, because I think that would be hilarious. At one of her episodes, she was like, put a sock on her head, and she goes, I could just see a puppet. And then I'm like, please do that. Love it. She's a joy. Every time I see an episode, I get excited. The other one I've been watching a lot of recently is Rachel is Knitting. I stumbled across her a couple of months ago, and I watched a bunch of her old ones. You need to go down the rat spiral. The stories on the Instagram stories, I went on a journey with that. So I'm Team Rat. I will eventually have to knit one just because it's hilarious. But the reason I wanted to highlight her is she does knitting tours, so she takes groups. That's not what she does. She's like wicked smart. I feel like she teaches at a university or something. I know she's got a PhD in Victorian literature, I'm going to say. Because she has... So this is Jane Austen, and she has a version of that is the Brontes, which is hilarious because I have a Jane Austen shelf. That shelf is my Jane Austen shelf, and that shelf is my Bronte shelf. Anyway, I feel like Rachel and I would get on like fire. But the rat thing, hilarious, went on a journey. But anyway, she does knitting tours, and she's recapping her 2 most recent ones to Scotland, and I'm just like sitting there drooling. I'm like, I want to go to Scotland again. Last time I was in Scotland, it was like 100 degrees. I got a sunburn. But just seeing everything that she's done and hearing her talk about it is just so cool. So I'm traveling vicariously through her recaps of her knitting tours this year. And she loves purple like I love teal, teals and greens, but she's also going towards green right now, so kudos, love the green. And then the final person I wanted to say that I've been watching is Allie Makes Everything. Again, stumbled across her. She had a really fascinating one talking about her first year as a podcaster, when she monetized, just all these things that I was like, oh, that's interesting. How does that work? And then she does these beautiful projects. But the thing that really drew me to her and what's kept me watching is she talks about the cost. And other people do this too, but I think the way that she talks about it is very approachable. And I love First off, I love that she talks faster than I do. I'm like, okay, I'm not the fastest talking person, but I love it. But it's made me really think about how I want to, moving forward, start talking about the cost. One of the biggest challenges, and I put a comment on one of hers about sort of, she did this awesome partner knit with a friend, and Allie's I won't say she's slight, I don't think she's very slight, but she's small, so she knits a smaller size, and her partner knitter she did a larger size, and they were talking about how it was, the getting the yarns and that sort of thing, and I was just like, hey, yeah, like, it could have taken even longer. She did it all in one color, because like trying to find it in one color is impossible, and then like, it's also cost prohibitive once you get to like, really probably like the top 3 or 4 sizes is when it gets to like you're adding 2 skeins per size increase. Like, it's depending on obviously the yarn. But I wanted to talk about that because I, for the most part, very rarely will I buy a sweater's quantity yarn full price. It's almost guaranteed I will never buy a sweater's quantity yarn in the yarn that an independent designer uses, because they generally choose independent dyed. Beautiful. Love it. They choose Spin Cycle, which is sold in 50 gram skeins for like $40. So like, once you get to, I mean, even like an extra large or like a 5 on a 6 on a 10 scale, that's cost prohibitive. So like, I want to talk about that sort of what, and I guess the other, and I'll also say Urban Yarn, Gary at Urban Yarn also does that, and they both really have inspired me, because I think it's very important to be transparent. Like, could I afford to buy 10 $32 skeins for a sweater? Yes, I could. Thankfully, I'm in a position where if I really wanted to, I could. Should I? Absolutely not, because it's not responsible. So I almost never buy yarn unless it's on sale for a larger project. And that's like a clearance. But then that runs into a whole another issue of being able to get the quantity that I need. I'll talk about it in a little bit, but like I'll do a preview knit for Rastus. He released it. I got it this morning. And I was looking, and the colors that I wanted, they didn't have the quantity on sale. Couldn't get it, so I had to go to like, I think it was my 3rd choice color, and there was one above it, but I was like, do I pay $80 or do I pay $55? That's a $25 difference. That $25 could go to another project. So they both really, Allie and Gary both, the way they talk about it, I think it's really helpful. And they kind of are on different, I wouldn't say, different ends of the price point. I think Gary does a lot more with acrylic and big box, which is different and interesting, and I love it. And then Allie does, we'll say, the high end, the really nice stuff that I'm like, would I love a cashmere sweater? Absolutely. Am I going to pay for it? Absolutely not. So I feel like both of them really have inspired me. So I will talk about that. I could probably go find receipts for most everything that I have, but what I'll end up doing is like, I'll say, hey, this is what you would pay retail price for this in the yarn that I chose. This is what you would pay retail price in the yarn the pattern's done in. Because I think people need to see that and understand that. So that's why I will almost always knit in a Cascade or a Barocco when it comes to a sweater, or a Valley, which is Webs. That is one of the few stores that I know I can go into, which is a 2-hour drive, that I can go into, and more often than not, they will have a quantity in a color that I want, and it might be on sale. Any other store, almost guaranteed they're not going to have a quantity enough for me to make a sweater. It would have to be a special order. So anyway, took some inspiration from them, wanted to shout out them. Now, for what you're actually here for, the yarn and the knitting. Finished objects, 0, none. Don't have any, it's been only 3 weeks. I'm not surprised at that. So, we'll skip forward. Works in progress. So, the bulk of the last 3 weeks have been spent working on a secret test knit. Don't worry. I'm not going to say what it is. I'm not going to talk about it. I'm just going to say general. The designer watches this sometimes. It lives in this bag, very old faded bag a friend got me years and years ago. All you need is love is crossed out. All you need is books. It's not in here. I left it downstairs because I didn't want to be tempted. I am making it in this gray. It's called Sweatshirt Gray. Deluxe, Universal Yarn Deluxe DK. I actually do love the color. I don't like the texture of the yarn, but I do know that it blocks out nicely. So when I'm knitting with it, it's like, ooh, but I know it gets super soft when you block it. So all I'm going to say is it's a sweater. I started it about 3 weeks ago. I had to pull it out a couple of times before I got to end the round. You start at the back, and then I had to pull back a couple of inches a couple of times just from a math issue that I was having. But it's like, sweater's done. I am down to probably here. Like, that's how much I've done with all those pulled out. So that's where the bulk of my time has been spent these last few weeks. I'm excited. I should be done within the next 2 weeks probably. So that's that. The big reveal is I actually finished my 3rd stripe on my jelly roll blanket. So the last time you all saw it, I was just at this gray section on this stripe. And I'm going to remember to do it right this time. So I was at this gray section, and then I added all of this. So I added 4 colors, the gray, the burgundy, this kind of stripey looking one, and then this awesome neon looking one. So I now have 3 stripes. It is very large. I just wanted to make it big. The way I decided to measure it is, this is a mini skein set, so it was 5 colors, 100 grams. I did all 5 colors, and that's how I did the length. I'm doing 30 stitches instead of 20 because I wanted slightly wider stripes. And there we are. So I will cast on at the bottom down here and work my way up. And you'll see it again when I get to my 4th stripe. I'm excited. I have no idea how many stripes I'm going to do. This is just a blanket for me, so it doesn't need to be any certain size. Honestly, maybe it'll be 12 stripes or 16. We'll see when we get to it. But I do love how bright this goes. This one, I had to break the rule a little bit on this one. That's a very bright neon. I got all the way to like here. We're talking like 3 rows at most, with 20 grams. And I was like, I'm not putting a color on here for 3 stripes. There is actually one on here for 3 stripes because I didn't think I had extra, but then I found more. But this was one of the ones where I had split. One was 20, one was like 17 or 18. So this actually could have been the 17 or 18. So I just took the other ball to the final stripes and cast off that stripe. Yeah, so that's my jelly roll. I like it. It's soft. Yeah. The other one I spent quite a bit of time on is my Trinigan. So if you follow me on Instagram, you've already seen that I have seamed the seamed the shoulders. 3 needle bind off. I will try it on very briefly because I'm hot. But when you saw it last, I was in the middle of the back. Or not the middle, I was towards the top of the back. So I finished it. I have seamed the shoulders. It's got a visible seam. 3 needle bind off, visible seam. And I've actually done a couple of inches on the sleeves. The good part is because it's a drop shoulder, the sleeves are only like, I don't know, 7 or 8 inches, excuse me. So what I'll do is I'm going to do, I think 14 of the lighter blue repeats, which will be roughly half of the back, or half of the back and the sides, and then we'll have that. But this is what it looks like. The big part, I think, and when it'll really help is when the boulder is done. Not the boulder, the border. It's kind of sitting funny. Or it's rolling up so much, but once it lays flat, it'll be really big. There you go. My little stripes. But yeah, look how far that sleeve goes down. But yeah, there's my Trinigan. I also think it's going to block. This is so stretchy, like, so stretchy. It'll be plenty big enough. take that off because it is hot. Remember which side the yarn's on. Yeah, so that's my Trinigan cardigan by Andrea Mowry. I am concerned I'm going to run out of this blue, the darker blue. I think I can get one more skein from where I got it from. I will find out next week. If not, I might have an extra skein of the contrast color. And if I do, I will do the cuffs of the sleeves and the contrast color. It's going to look crazy, but I'll probably do that. I will tell you when I finish this, that price thing, because this is a lot of yarn. It is thick, it is mosaic, part of why it'll stretch so much when I block it, but also part of why it's so freaking heavy. Yeah, so we will talk about this again, hopefully, when it's done soon. I don't think I'm going to take this one to North Carolina, but we'll see, because I was originally going to. But I'm like, maybe I should finish that secret test knit first, especially because one of my new cast-ons is also a preview knit. So there's that. I'll put it in my bag. I should just do that. It's not on the floor. Alright. And then my third whip is my muscle bra. This is with Honey and Quill's Cape Collection. Why did I put it in there that way? I'm not going to talk a lot about it. I was down here where the Coochie Kopi marker is. Good Lord, where are you? I'm going to stop there. I was down here. I did 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32, 36 more rows. I'm almost done and we'll go to the solid red soon. I think the Ravelry notes that I'm following are 50, 150. Yeah, so there's that. This is fun. I will probably knit on this on the plane as one of those tiny planes. And then if it's warm down in North Carolina, I'll knit on this. But yeah, just trucking along, moving along. Haven't really knit on it too much. I gotta remember to move all my markers. And then the final work in progress, I actually don't have any progress on it yet. It's my Granny Triangle blanket. This is the one that the week before when I got to record, I'm like, oh crap, I gotta do it. And then I do it over the weekend, so I would technically do this. Usually I would do it tomorrow and Sunday, but I didn't have time to do it yet, so I will do it. I will also take to North Carolina. I went ahead. So this is the July colorway. It's inspired by the Martian Chronicles. So this is from my 2022 Woolly Dragon Literary Adventures Yarn Club. So that's July. I also caked up August, which is Devil in the White City. That's probably a good color. They're both different. And then I caked up my extra January one. So I'll probably take this to North Carolina. I'll probably just take the two smaller projects. But yeah, so you might, if you see any, if future Jeff puts one in right after this, you might see this one crocheted up. But we'll see. Yeah, that's it for works in progress. So I did do the extra section. I'm coming to you the day after my sister's wedding. It was a lot of fun. I will show you her party favors. Well, there were two. Her wife picked candles, but Lee's party favorite, my sister, they did hats. And you got to pick your patch. They put it on there. They made it for you. And everybody loved them. It was hilarious. By the end of the night, everybody was in trucker hats. So I'm tired. I'm not hungover. We don't drink a lot, but it was dry wedding. So it just made it a lot easier. But this section is brought to you by Waffle House. Very Southern thing. And a lot of caffeine. But I wanted to, this is the first time I've had a break since we've been down here for almost a week. Cousins and friends and aunts and uncles and work at the first part of the week, so it's just been a little bit hectic. And this is the first time I've got a few minutes. We're at an Airbnb in Weaverville, cute little town. We're gonna go up to the Main Street Parade, 4th of July. I just wanted to take a quick moment to update this section real quick. I'll finish with the works in progress, and then I'll do a couple of acquisitions I got. So since we got here, I was able to finish my triangle. So this is the Martian Chronicles colorway from the 2022 Woolly Dragon Literary Adventures Yarn Club. Love the colorway. So I did that, but then I immediately went right into August. So I'm a month ahead. This is the Devil in the White City. This is the August one. So the other one I think I showed you. So it looks like, yeah, so I am ahead. I will probably finish that extra January cake that I've already caked up. I wasn't able to knit a lot on the plane, a little tiny plane coming down here. So I think I played Sudoku. Maybe I might have read. And then when we got here, I was like, I got to a point on my test knit that I need to block, see if the size fits, and then maybe pull back a little bit and then do the ribbing. So I was like, okay, guess I'm gonna crochet. And I did 2 triangles. That's how fast they are. They're so fast. We did that. So that's the rest of the progress I did this month. Then the sweater that you can't see. I also, and I went to 2 yarn stores. One I've been to before, and one was new to me. So when we flew in on Sunday, and I just was like, let me check the hours of Pearl's Yarn Emporium. So it's in Asheville. It's actually in Asheville. And I've wanted to go for a while, but I've never been able to time it in such a way, and we generally don't fly into Asheville. And so we went over there, and the reason I wanted to go is they're a super nerdy store. And they do hand-dyed yarn based on Doctor Who, among other things, and they do bags based on like project bags with like the Pride dice and like video games. It was great. We loved it. The yarn balls. Almost got another yarn ball, but I didn't. But the reason I went is I wanted to get some of the Who's Socks yarn, which is the yarn based on Doctor Who. And this is what I got. Beautiful blues and greens and teals, and it's called Traveler, but it's based on the TARDIS. I was gonna get the 10th Doctor, who is David Tennant, but I had a lot of brown, which I get, his coat and his pants, but I was like, it's too much brown when it's knit up, and I really liked this. So I got this. Love it. It's super soft. It's, what is it? 80/20. It's got a nice twist. That's all I care about. What's in it is less important to me. I know people really feel strongly about it, but I like it. It's got this like deep purple. Yeah, so that's the main reason we went. But while we were there, I stumbled across a random bay leaf so that matches the ones I bought in Denver. Same dye lot. Wasn't even in the system. She wasn't aware that they had it. It was the only one they had, so I went ahead and grabbed it. Got a little bit of extra. It's the Juniper Moon Farm Zoe. It'll give me an extra almost 300 yards, so I can extend that out. The other 2 things I got, I wanted one for a while. So this is what one of those charm things, keychains that you can put your stitch stoppers on, which is great. And then Tim actually bought me the rainbow books, the little stack of books, which I thought was really cute. But I'm excited about this because then I can put it on attached to a project bag. I've actually had it attached to my water bottle, which has been great. Clanking, but great. So when you take your stitch stoppers off of a project, and then you don't lose them. I also wanted this one. I don't know if you're gonna be able to see it, but it's kind of that rainbow metallic. So I was like, oh, that'll be fun. That's cute. So we bought it. I got it. I'm excited. And then the rainbow books just made me happy. Not that I need another pair. I only ever use like 2 at a time. But they were so cute, and Tim got them for me. Got that. And then the last thing I got, they make pens, badges, pen badges. And when you tell how much one you want, they press it right there. They make it.
So I got one of the fun ones, the Y'all Means All. I always wanted one of the t-shirts, but I've never found one in my size. And then this one, Gene Belcher, y'all know I love Bob's Burgers. Let me get it outside of the... It says, wait, what do you mean knitting is an exercise? And I'm like, that's me. It doesn't count as exercise. Yeah, so they were too cute. They were, I don't know, they're like $1. But the store was cool. It was a little smaller than I expected it to be, but it was packed. Like, they had a really good space for where you could like knit and sit. Pretty big selection, a huge selection of needles. I don't remember which brands, but there was a lot. And then I think their project bags were very, very tempting. But I think the next project bag I want to get is another bigger tote for like a sweater. I think that'll be my next one. And so that was Sunday when we flew in, and then I knew I would go see Rebecca and Liz at Sundragon Art and Fiber, which is in Brevard, North Carolina, which is near where my aunt lives, which is 40 minutes outside of Asheville. I knew I would go see them, so I went and saw them on Wednesday morning, which coincides with Sit and Stitch. So I hung out with them. There were a couple of other people there. Carol, hi Carol. Carol was there. I can't remember the other two. I want to say Hannah was there, who's in their podcast with them sometimes. And then Liz's husband was there. And then Veda and I can't remember the other woman's name. Long hair, working on a beautiful pattern. It starts with a J, but I can't remember her name. But it was great. I sat there for about an hour, knit with them before coming into Asheville for the wedding for the last half of the week. But while I was there, I texted Liz and was like, hey Liz, you got any more of that superwash wave in the deep ocean, or is it deep ocean? And the deep sea colorway? And they did. They had one left. And I was like, set that aside for me because I need it. I'm worried I'm going to run out. So I bought that. And then the other thing I bought, I got some of the Cocoa Knits colorful stitch markers. I had wanted some for a while. Oh no, I lost one. I'll have to go find it. My light bulb markers are starting to come apart. So like the top, but the part that you like tuck it into are starting to fall off on a lot of them. So I was like, I want to get some fixed ones, and these were just so bright. I'll do that so if they fall. So I wanted to get the round ones. And yeah, I was excited. And I knew they sold them, so I just waited and bought them when I got there. And yeah, it was good. Hung out with them for a little bit, and then had to run. I wasn't paying attention to the time and was just chatting away. And then I was like, oh crap, I'm supposed to be at lunch. And then I just was like, all right, bye everybody. See you next year. And ran to lunch with my family. But yeah, so that was just a little update I wanted to wedge in here. So this, if I remember correctly, this will go right before I go to from the archives. So you will see that in just 1 second. If not, you will see something else. Yeah, so there we go.
The next one I'm going to do, I will put a photo up here. So this is my photo of, it now has a name, so this is my upcoming cast on by Rasta Sue. I got the pattern this morning. I'm super excited. I already placed my order for my yarn. I was going to do it, I think I mentioned I was going to do it in the Juniper Moon. Didn't have enough. Nowhere near enough, I think, because it hangs longer and it drapes. I needed more yarn, and I went to look at Juniper Moon, and it was going to cost me like, I needed 5 more balls, so that's $100 more. Not going to pay that much money for it. So you'll see that yarn later. Yeah, you're not going to see it this week. You'll see it next month. But I'm going to do it in a navy color. I like the idea of white, but I'm pale and pasty, so I feel like the darker color contrast with my skin will look better. So yeah, so that's going to be my upcoming cast on. I'm super excited. Saw the pattern. I'll read through it later this afternoon, see if I have any questions. It's a preview knit, not a test knit, which I think is interesting. I'm excited for it. That's what I need it. And I will, if you see me on a cruise later this year, we're doing one in October, I'll probably be wearing that. From the archives. So like I said, I was going to show off that scarf right there. That's another Rastas pattern. But instead, I wanted to show the sockhead slouch. So I've made 4 of them. 2 for me, 2 for Tim. This is my original. It's, it's super simple. You cast on the bottom 2x2 ribbing for however long you want, the body, and then I think you increase to the body, and then you decrease down, cinch it up, and it's a hat. It's designed to be worn slouchy. I don't particularly like the slouchy. I will put this one on for just a second. It's designed to be worn. I don't look good in hats. Slouchier, like slouchy. I realized after making this one, I run hot, so figuring weight hat is exactly what I need. But I realized after this one I liked it to be a little less poofy, slouchy. So I modified it, and I made this one. So this is that crazy yarn. This is from Unit I Die. I cannot remember what the colorway is. I decided two things. I wanted the body of the hat, so the crown, to be less deep, and I wanted the ribbing to be deeper. So what that allows me to do is it allows me to keep the brim but not have the reverse stockinette showing. So you put this one on and it fits like that. I love it. It looks like it glows in the dark. People always compliment me on it just because it kind of does this cool pooling where it looks like it's intentionally designed like that. There's that one. Yeah, I think this is probably, I don't know, I'm pretty sure I wrote down this formula. Same formula, just different measurements, because I think this is my most comfortable one. And then for Tim, I made him this one. This is from that series of books and movies where the woman is a horrible person now. So if you know it, you know it. I had this yarn well before she became horrible. But I guess she was always horrible. Anyway. But this is his. He loves this one. This yarn is super soft. I have the blue and silver. I'll probably make the same one. And then this is a little scritchy. This is a more workhorse yarn. Honestly, couldn't tell you where we got it from. It was a self-striping sock. So it's a little scritchy, so he doesn't wear it as much, but it's warmer, and I tell him he needs to wear it. This one will wear better in the winter versus this one, and you can see the difference in the sizes when I switch to the new formula. But he loves this one the most because it's so loose, so I gotta go back and figure out this formula to make it for him. Yeah, so those are my 4 sockhead slouches from the archives. Oh, can you see all 4 of them? I don't know why I'm doing. Wait, where's it? This one. This one's still my favorite. That's my favorite yarn. So there you go. I do have a new obsession. So I will pop a photo right here. So this is the Kenosha hat by Mary W. Martin, I think. And it's woven knitting as the technique. She has an entire series of them. I just really love when you choose a stark contrast, just sort of that it looks almost like a Celtic knot. And I think that's probably, I'm sure it's probably has something to do with double knitting and cabling, I think is what it is, just based on looking at it. But like, I saw this weeks and weeks and weeks ago, and I've been waiting for her to release it. And it's just such a cool texture, just the colors moving back and forth. And that I keep going back to it. I did buy the Kenosha hat. There's a cowl as well. She had a whole bunch of other patterns, but like, just look at it. Like, how beautiful. I'll put both colors. There's a green and yellow, and then like a maroon and silver. So pretty. I would probably double the brim, because I don't usually like that kind of the short brim, but we'll see when I make it. I don't have yarn for it, so it's not in that 28. But yeah, I keep going back to it. I keep going to her designs and seeing she has a whole bunch of them, but the hat and the cowl are just so cool. If you've made one, let me know. Like, I'm really curious how easy it is to do. Yeah, and I think that's everything on my list. So I'm casting off for now, and I will see you the first weekend of August. Have a good month.